What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today I have a very special spray gun here. I have the infamous purple $10 spray gun. This gun is the most loved and it's also the most hated. Mostly loved by DIYers, mostly hated by professionals. We're going to go ahead and dissect this spray gun today, show you why it is a $10 spray gun, why DIYers love it, and professionals hate this purple spray gun. Stick around with me. I'm going to show you through all the details and really break this gun down. So if you would like to follow along, go ahead and stick around for the video. Alright, so first thing is first, so why do the DIYers love this spray gun? Well, honestly, folks, DIYers love the purple spray gun. One, because it basically lays down paint. It doesn't lay it down very well, but it does the job, right? This is just a get the job done emergency spray gun, good for primer. I've seen people modify and drill on the cap, make it a larger 2.0, if you will, tip, and be able to use this for primer. DIYers also love it, obviously, because of the price and what it comes with. Obviously, I don't have the box with me, so I can't show you everything that it comes with, but if you check out Harbor Freight's website, you'll get some more details on that. I believe it comes with a regulator and things like that. Professionals hate this gun. Now, why do professionals actually hate this gun? Well, we're going to start breaking this thing down and really showing you why professionals hate this gun. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin the review and dissection of the purple gun. Alright, so taking a look at the spray gun. Well, so looking at it on the outside, we all know what this gun was originally. This was originally designed as a SATA. This was basically one of the first SATA jet models that they came out with. I believe it was called a SATA Jet B, a NR95. Also made by SATA. So this purple gun is basically a copy of one of SATA's old designs. Now, if we look here, it fits in the hand okay. It's not super ergonomic, but then again, this is a $10 spray gun, so we're not going to go too much into detail on that. But if you do feel the trigger, right away you can tell this thing wasn't made of the highest quality. The quality was not a high priority. If you look here, you do see the movement of the pin, moving it around. If you flip it around, you'll notice, yeah, you got a bunch of flex, play, some deflection, just overall low quality on the trigger. Now, if you know the original SATA that came out used to say made in Germany here, and it also had a stamping right here. I believe it was a CE stamping. On the purple gun, they basically erased the made in Germany. They put this kind of this knurled finish on top. It almost looks like a stamping. Now, why did they do that? Well, my best guess on this one is for ambidextrous painters. That's the only way I can think of. When you're right-handed, you could rest your thumb here, and as you can see, it has a nice knurled finish. So you are able to rest your thumb. If you're left-handed painter, you do have a nice grip here if you would like to rest your thumb. So I believe that's what that texture was for. I don't see any other reason why they would. I think it would take more time to actually, stamp it, and obviously more money just to come up with that design. So as far as cost savings go, I think that's the reason why they have that grip there, or that texture. As we start to look on the outside, as you can see, the anodizing or powder coating, whatever they use on the outside. You can see it's not very good, not very reflective. You could actually make out a bunch of the grinding marks, or not really grinding, but basically the, as you can see here, the polishing, if you will, or deburring of the gun as it was manufactured. You can see a lot of defects here, some delamination, and right under here you could see, let's see if I could zoom in here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, give me 1 second. Alright, so there you go. You could see that the finish on the powder coating, it's not very good, not really held to a high standard. But then again, this is a $10 spray gun. Taking a look at the trigger real quick again, you can see that pin just moving around. Got some slop on the trigger. Now here on the adjustment knob, here on the adjustment knob, it is a brass knob, but it does feel quite tight. And as you notice here, it's got some play in it. It almost feels like there's like a rubber O-ring or a rubber seal back there. And it feels like it might have been cross-threaded from the factory. This is a brand new gun. It's never been used. Looking at the fittings, the screw, as you can tell, the screw is actually not made out of brass. People think it's made out of brass. It's actually anodized aluminum, and you could tell it's not made out of brass. Just looking at the color difference, right away you could tell it's not actually brass. This is real brass. You could right away tell just by looking at it. Here, this is like anodized. It's not magnetic, so I know it's got to be some sort of aluminum, but definitely not made out of brass. This is anodized cast aluminum. Going ahead and looking at the air cap, as you can see, there's already a bunch of grease and oil. The air cap jets, they seem to be plugged up with a bunch of oil, so definitely you want to be able to clean this gun out. And we're going to go ahead and remove the air cap and take a look at exactly what's going on here. Oh, and it looks like the whole thing is removing. Give me a sec here. Come on. Alright. And look at that. Well, first we have a copy of, this is basically an air distribution ring. That's actually what SATA calls it. It's also known as air valves. It's known as different things. But as you notice here, this is a plastic injected piece. On some of the higher end guns from Harbor Freight, like the Spectrum and the Black Widow, this part is actually CNC cut to perfection. This piece here, it's actually straight out of a mold. Looks like they might have just cleaned it up just a little bit. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look here. Come on, you fuck. Sorry, guys. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a little bit more at the air cap and also look under into the nozzle. So first we're going to start with the air cap. As we notice here, not too bad of machining. This actually looks pretty decent, but you do notice that we still got a lot of fragments down in there from the machining process, along with, if you really look closely, you could tell you got some brown, I don't know, oil or grease or whatever they use to create some sort of lubricant and corrosion protection against this gun. Definitely, it seems like it's been coagulating, and you know, it's pretty common to find oil in some of these cheaper guns, especially made in China. Most spray guns don't have a lot of oil, and if they do, it's very lubricitous oil. This one seems to be more coagulated. I'm not sure if they use a different oil for this spray gun, but it's definitely not of a good standard. Now, definitely, as we flip it around here, you do notice that it looks to be brass. You know, there's not much to say here, but watch what happens when I grab a magnet. Now, as you all know, brass is actually not magnetic, but if you notice here, hey, look at that. This thing is actually magnetic. Even on the brass sections, it's completely magnetic. So that raises the question, what type of quality is the brass that they're actually using on this? There could be a chance that possibly the brass that they use is not a high quality, or it has some sort of different alloy mixed into it, probably trying to save on cost. You do see on the machining of the air cap, not too bad. It actually looks okay. Also on the chroming process here, you do notice that it's not very reflective. It's lost a lot of its reflection, and that has to do with a different chroming process that they went with on the air cap. It's not as reflective. As you notice here, they didn't do the same thing on the ring. The ring is actually a lot more reflective than the actual cap itself. So these two parts were actually apart and chromed in two different places. The reason I can tell that is by the finish. This is the chrome on here is actually a lot more reflective, like I said, than this part here. That's telling me that two different chroming processes were done on here, and then later on put together, held on by a spring steel snap ring. There you go, and you can see the snap ring right there. So definitely a low quality brass, low quality chroming. So definitely some questions there. Also, you do notice that there is no ring inside this air cap. The only thing that actually seals this air cap to get seals the air cap and the nozzle together is actually this taper here. As you notice, it's kind of shaped like that. That is what's known as a taper, and you do have a section here cut out or during the machining process. So what ends up happening is you have basically a metal to metal sealant or seal, and that's how it actually keeps the pressure in there. Now, I do see a lot of newbies, instead of using the proper tool to take this part off, what they'll actually do is grab some pliers, and that's no bueno. What ends up happening is you'll end up nicking this taper right here, and that's the first line of defense when it comes to sealing the air cap to the nozzle. Once you oops, Jesus fucking Christ, once you compromise that taper, basically you're gonna end up losing pressure under the air cap, and you're gonna have some spray pattern problems and air distribution issues, basically because you are losing pressure under the air cap. Also, the second line of defense is obviously going to be threads, and then lastly, this really cheap seal right here that actually seals onto the gun body. Talking about the seals, very cheap plastic, very flexible. If you crank the air cap too tight, this thing tends to bow out, and basically this seal is not going to last very long, especially if you do clean it. Now, also going on into the onto the nozzle. Right away, you'll notice we got some major corrosion going on down here, and I I want to say this is because of the blend of brass that they're using. Definitely not of high quality, very low quality brass. As you can see right here on the bottom, already started to corrode. That is not oil. That is not metal sticking to oil or anything. That is just straight up corrosion. And this is a brand new gun, guys. So as you can tell, not a good sign coming from Harbor Freight. As you notice, the machining, not too bad, especially for a $10 spray gun. I'm not going to judge it very hard here, but you do see, oxidation here and corrosion. Moving on to the front, you do see a little bit more oil on the front, but as you notice here on the higher end guns, this nozzle will actually be made out of stainless steel. And on the $10 spray gun, this is made out of mild steel, machine steel, tool steel, whatever you want to call it. Not of highest quality. It is not stainless steel, which is going to end up rusting or corroding over time, leaving you with a bad taste on your panel or your mouth, whatever you would like to call it. Thirdly, we're going to go ahead and move on to the needle. The needle, right away, just by feeling it, it's low quality. You could feel it. It's very rough. They didn't do a slow pass on the machining here. They didn't really take the time. You do notice you still got some coagulated oil all over this needle, and also this needle happens to be also magnetic, which is made out of steel. So, and the problem with that is, since this needle is not stainless steel, you're going to have a hard time with water-based paints. You throw water-based paints into the purple gun, and guess what? You're going to have major corrosion issues, rusting issues. Seals are going to start leaking all over this thing. This very low quality on the spray needle, the nozzle, and the air cap as far as the materials go. So this is all efforts to basically create the cheapest gun possible. This is why it is a $10 spray gun. All right, moving on, we're going to go ahead and look at the gun body. I'm going to try to really zoom in here, get you guys a close-up look. All right, so again, we're running into coagulated oil into the gun body. As you can see, this shit is all over the place. Let me get the spray needle. This is exactly why, this is a cheap spray gun. Okay, they're not using the best materials. As you can see, it's all over in the air passages. This oil or silicone or glue or whatever it is that they're putting in this thing has hardened. It has coagulated, is what the term is known as. It kind of defeats the purpose. Why would you even throw whatever this stuff is, the oil or silicate or whatever it is, in here? You're causing more harm than good. It doesn't create, it's not really protecting it from corroding because it's not lubricitous, it's not in a fluid form. And the reason why they do put this stuff in it is basically to keep it from rusting or corroding away during the shipment process, or what they call the shelf life. If this gun sits for a long time in a warehouse, this stuff is supposed to protect it from rusting. But as soon as you clean it up, the rust protection is basically gone at that point. Okay, and the rusting process actually begins. Also, you have a seal down there that in the center of the gun. It's basically a very cheap seal. That seal will end up tending to leak, and the reason why it will end up tending to leak is because the needle surface is actually rougher than what it needs to be. And so what it ends up happening is as that needle moves back and forth, it'll end up damaging the seal in the middle and it'll end up causing leaks. So no bueno on there. Now, let me zoom out real quick. Give me a sec. All right. Also, if you want to see a very cool party trick, go ahead and stick a magnet right there, and you will see in just a second. Go ahead and stick a magnet on the gun body. Now, oh, there it goes. There it is. So why is it moving? Well, basically the trigger on here does have a small plunger on the back end of the trigger mechanism in here, and basically that is also made out of a magnetic steel. What is bad about that? Well, that will actually end up corroding over time and damaging this seal and causing you uncontrollable trigger. Now, how does corrosion actually get into the gun? Well, it all starts down here, down at your air fitting, and it leads all the way back to your air compressor. Now, as you know, air compressors, just by the nature of an air compressor, creates moisture, does leak a little bit of oil into the air system, and also provides air or air pressure. And if you do not have a good desiccant filter, what will end up happening is all that moisture, all that debris, I guess you could say, will end up going in here. And since this needle is not stainless steel, the plunger that's inside here is not stainless steel, what will end up happening is, like I said, it will corrode, and over time it'll just damage the seal. The seal will start to leak, and you will not have any control over all the air that's going to pass through. Also, all that stuff is going to end up going into the gun body, blowing all this junk through the air cap onto your panel and possibly ruining your paint job. That's why it's very important to have a good desiccant system, good desiccant filtration system on your guns or on your air compressor. Very, very important. Last and certainly the least, why do the professionals hate this gun? One other thing I could find is if you notice here on the very top, this fitting, also magnetic. This is some sort of steel. Possible that it will corrode over time. And what I found very, very interesting is if you look in there, you do see that it's brass. Well, the Chinese engineers who made this, or the machinist or whoever, got a little smart, because if you notice here, alright, it's not focusing, but if you notice right in there, you do see a small lip. Looks like brass. Well, that's because it is. If you notice here, this part here on the outside is steel. The part on the inside, they were actually pretty ingenious idea. They stuck a brass sleeve down into the center to a little bit of corrosion protection. Why they did that, it is just for corrosion purposes. You know, as you put the cup on there, you're gonna have some paint that goes through there. If you're using water-based paint, this thing would be the first thing to get in contact with that water-based paint and start to corrode. And basically they put that sleeve just for some minor protection. This is why this gun is $10. Okay, guys, let me zoom out. This is why this gun is $10. Cheap material, not very good machining, not very good as far as anodizing goes, very low quality material. Like I said, the brass is not really brass. It's got something mixed into it that's making it magnetic. The corrosion, Obviously, wherever this was made, you know, the material that they're using is just not of high grade standard. Okay, guys, this gun is not going to last you. Now, don't believe at some of the guys that say, oh, you know what, I've had this gun for years and I've never had an issue and this and that. Trust me, guys, you will have an issue with this spray gun, okay? And I will reassemble everything and talk more about the $10 spray gun. All right, so now we got the gun body all reassembled. Now, this is why they're able to make this gun for $10. Now that we've seen it all, we know that the material that they're using is very low grade. This is very low grade. Obviously, they didn't do any engineering on this gun. All they do is just copy, copy, and copy, and that obviously saves them a lot of money as far as engineering wise. And basically, they have China is known for low cost for labor, and also for having you know, basically undercutting everybody by using cheaper materials and just copying everything, right? So you can actually buy these from Alibaba. If right around 14 bucks, you can buy the same thing, the same gun. But Harbor Freight is able to work out a deal with these guys to get these guns down to about $2 each gun. Yes, I'm talking a complete spray gun. This is not including the cup and the tooling and all that kind of stuff. This is just what you see here for around $2. The cup will be an extra about 75 cents. The box and the tooling and everything else, you're talking about an extra $1. So adding all that up, you're probably somewhere in the $5 to $6 range for a complete spray gun. Now, Harbor Freight, as you know, can sell them for right around 10 bucks with a coupon, $15 for normal price. At that price, yes, they're still able to make some money. Even at $10, they're still making a couple bucks, almost doubling their money. And so that is how they're able to sell these guns for 10 bucks and still make a profit and still keep the doors open. They're basically doubling their money, okay, guys? Harbor Freight is able to get free shipping because of the amounts of spray guns that they're ordering on a weekly basis or a daily basis or even monthly basis. They're able to get free shipping. A lot of those Chinese companies will allow for free shipping. They even will give you a free shipping container depending on the amount that you order. So that is how they're able to offer this spray gun so cheap. Okay, materials, the labor cost, and obviously the deals, the type of deals that Harbor Freight can negotiate with these Chinese and Taiwanese company. So, with that being said, guys, that is the most hated and the most loved spray gun on YouTube and everywhere else from Harbor Freight, the infamous purple gun. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm just a mechanic. Stay spraying.